right, Illuminerdi fans, we all know that this channel is filled mostly of Power Ranger fans. So it is my great honor and opportunity to speak with one of probably the most entertaining people within the Power Ranger verse influencers, Mr. Robbie from GeekLevelAsian. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be on here.
Yeah, cosplay reviews, your toy reviews, and just your personal take on a lot of things going on in the Power Ranger community. Now, for the viewers of our channel that don't know you, how would you describe your channel, and how would you uh, get more people to enjoy your Power Ranger content?
Oh man, definitely. I think it's changed over time. Like if you went into like my early videos, they'd be very different than they are now. But basically, Power Ranger enthusiasts, been with the fandom for quite a long time. Obviously, like many of us, since we're in elementary school. Most recently, I'd say they're definitely, like, most of my videos are coming through the point of view of a man in his 30s who just wants so much, and like wants done right for an IP that he loves, and just kind of reacting what's been going on since the Hasbro takeover.
Definitely. Now, if you guys haven't subscribed to this channel yet and you do love Power Rangers, you got to do it. I know you're doing a 5,000 subscriber giveaway, Funko Pop. So you guys, for the opportunity, you get the opportunity for that cool pop, but also you get some really cool, fun content, especially Power Ranger content, because as we know from the actual IP, we're not getting too much of it, especially wait until Dino Fury comes out. But personally, I think that I really love your content. I love your take on it. It's a very realistic take on the IP and the direction Power Rangers is going. From the acquisition that Hasbro has, after the acquisition that Hasbro got, what would you rate the execution of what they've done with Power Rangers so far?
What is the scale?
1 through 5, I guess. 1 through 5.
1 through 5.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I would say I originally gave it a 4. Like when it first started, I was stoked. I was super stoked. I was like, Hasbro has Transformers. I mean, how far off can they be? Right now, I'm like at like a 2 to a 1. Because it's becoming. I mean, I work, outside of GeekLevelAsian and what I do, I work in sales and marketing.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that I'm the best. I'm not saying, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm trying to say is that I'm in that world a little bit, and when it comes to brand strategy and company strategy and handling, just the way that you want to portray how you're going to be releasing things, and it's just not the same type of thing that obviously that we're used to, and that's fine. It's fine to take it in a different direction, but at the same time, I'm almost slowly starting to feel that they just don't care.
Yeah.
If they cared a little bit in the beginning, I think now they care even less.
Yeah.
But time will tell. All of this interesting information that we've gotten about Jonathan Entwistle, which we still don't know much about. There's this entire, information's been put out into the universe that Jonathan Entwistle's coming on board, but what does that mean? We don't know yet. It could be really cool. And my heart, is like, please make that cool. Please do something cool with that. But my head is saying, going by, let's say, analytics or insights and what we've already seen, it's like, it's probably not going to be cool. Let's find out.
Yeah. Definitely from the business side that you have a lot of experience with, you've seen that they're making a lot of changes business wise that to an outside observer makes sense, but to a Power Ranger fan it's a little disconcerting because it's like taking their something that they truly love and shaking it up, and without any you're not really talking to the fans or understanding what the fans are going through. A lot of this stuff, that's why here at the Illuminerdi we do get a lot of heat for talking about the business side and talking about the behind the scenes stuff, because it's a harsh truth, and it's hard for some people to swallow sometimes. And don't get us wrong, we are huge Power Ranger fans, but we understand from what they're trying to do, and we see it as a transition period. And honestly, it is very it's very sad to see where it's going to go and how long it's going to take before we get back to that golden age of Power Rangers. Now, as far like one of the things that I do enjoy about your channel is your toy reviews. I watched one of your most recent ones that you have given up on Lightning Collection. Is that still a stance that you're taking on right now?
Well, and I say it in the video, like there are ways that they could make it. There are ways to bring me back, but dude, like in that video, I'm pretty sure that I showed like the other videos that I did before that. I got a lightning dagger that I was so stoked about because I have my legacy one behind me, and it's like it's really heavy. I am a cosplayer. I don't like having it on the side of my belt. You know, it's heavy to bring around, and it's super nice. I don't want to ding it up, so I was like, oh, let me get this like cheaper plastic model. Had a gigantic gash, like a hole in it. And I'm doing the review. I noticed it while I'm doing the review, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding. Like there are times, don't get me wrong, there are times when I'm doing reviews and I just stop the camera. I'm like, what the heck happened to this toy or whatever I'm reviewing? That one, I just kept going because I was already in the back of my head. I'm like, I should have just expected this at this point with everything that we've been seeing. And then right after that, because I'm sure, as you know, that the dagger and the wedding 2-pack came out at around the same time.
Yeah.
I opened up the wedding 2-pack. I'm missing a hand. One of Rita's hands. I'm like, all right, now I'm super frustrated now. And just all the pain apps after it got to the point where I was watching the news and I was watching the lives and I was watching the Fan First Fridays and I was like, I don't want that. I don't want that. I'm not expecting much from that, you know, and like, I don't know, after seeing, I mean, a few different things. I mean, I had already made the decision that I'm personally, and let me backtrack a little bit. I am kind of a completionist, right? Definitely. When you're a collector, you want them all. So when 90% of them all is not very good, it's like, I don't know if I want to keep buying these. Why am I subjecting myself to feeling like I need to buy this stuff when I don't even really like a lot of them? That's kind of what I started feeling like. And then when Sphinx came out with no face paint, I think that pumpkin wrapper looks good. Like, yeah, he could use more details, but I think he looks good.
The size is just off-putting.
The size is weird, especially after Goldar came out. Like, come on, guys. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And now like the whole, like the Dino Fury changer, the key is killing me, or whatever you want to call it, the real soul of it.
Thank you.
Dude, that thing looks terrible. I'm like, what is going on with this? And don't get me wrong, and from the business side, it's probably because since Bandai holds the molds and the casts for specific toys, they have to change things to a certain degree. I totally get that into the business. Like, there are things behind the scenes that we don't know what's going on. There might be like, it's like, okay, yes, make that toy, and we want to make it for Dino Fury, but we got to make it look a little different. I don't know how much and how little has gone into, okay, let's make it extremely different. Let's just go with our own thing. And hey, listen, if I was Hasbro and I was taking on Power Rangers, there might be a part of me that's just like, because I feel like this very much about the Star Wars fandom. The Star Wars fandom is the worst thing about Star Wars. Power Rangers, we might be the worst thing about Power Rangers. I'm honest. Like it's probably true. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like under the original guard, they embraced the community more. Not saying completely, but more. They understood that people like to create. They understood that people like to make cosplay and make props and do all this stuff. They understood, like, you know, let's stay close to the community and keep them involved. When Hasbro took over, and I said this in one of my last videos, I know cosplay creators and people who are making props and stuff, all of them had to shut down, or they had to shut down their Etsy pages. They were, you know, they basically lost all their business. And I get they're making props from a different IP. So I understand that part as well, but it's just like, yeah, but you can like, I don't know what the answer would be in this point in time, but it's like, I just feel like it's like, no, we are Hasbro. We are the professionals. If you want to stay on board, cool. If you don't, then leave. Like, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you know, from you're a cosplayer. That's how I kind of got started in the fandom as well. Have you been appreciating like the helmets that they're releasing and all that, compared to the legacy ones that we had before?
That's what. So there's a positive thing. I think the Lightning helmets are much nicer than the Legacy helmets. The Legacy green helmet specifically, to me, looks very oblong and weird. And hey, if you like the Legacy helmet, great. I think they're gigantic. They're like real, on my head at least, they're like really big. The lightning ones are still large on me, and obviously larger than a regular cosplay helmet.
Mhm.
But I think they did go in a good direction in that. And I liked the Hasbro Morpher. It looks not the greatest, but the functionality, cool. I like that. I like the different coins, do different colors, do different. Cool. I'm into that. That's my first toy that I ever experienced that did that was the Size Blaster. When you put the different Q globes from Q Ranger on the Size Blaster and it makes a
Yes.
different noise, it
And
recognizes what Q globe you use. I was like, this is awesome. I wish Power Coins did that. And Hasbro did that. So when Hasbro wins, when they do something awesome, I'm the first to say, awesome, Hasbro, great job. But it just seems like those are more few and far between these days,
mhm.
and that it's more like, dude, what's going on? What have you guys been up to? What's happening here?
Now there's a lot of like doom and gloom that both of our channels kind of like highlight, just to keep the fans in the loop. But is there a silver lining to all this? In your opinion, what do you see positive that's coming from this whole acquisition that Hasbro's done, and the direction that they're going in?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think that I hope the silver lining. I hope the silver lining just means like I don't know if they're like actually ending the relationship with Toei. If that happens, okay, let me back again, let me back up. This is what I would love to happen. Keep the relationship with Toei, keep the universe that we know going.
Hmm.
For legacy fans. Just keep it going. Um, which doesn't seem like that's going to happen, but keep that going. And if you want to create this more Netflixy Power Rangers 2017 movie, more adult universe, like parallel, do that. Make a movie universe. You know, I know they hired on that the writer from Titans,
I
for
can't.
the
Um, Edward Hill, I think.
Brian Edward or something like Edward Brian,
Brandon
something like
Edward Hill.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they hired that guy on. Like, cool, do that, but like, don't get rid of the kids show. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it just seems like from what we're hearing through the grapevine and like the decisions that they're making, and the fact that they're not saying anything about it.
Mhm.
Like, obviously, I know that Hasbro knows that we're all confused,
Yeah.
and obviously they're probably going to have like. Here's a great example: the Netflix thing. You know, why not tell us, hey? Power Rangers is leaving Netflix, but we're doing this really awesome thing. We're going to be doing XYZ. No, nothing. It's more like we really don't care about you guys, or that you love the series so much. You're just going to kind of have to deal with what
Yeah.
we're going to do, And I'm going to mention something, and this is how I took it. Cantata Force, Chris Cantata, love that guy. He had an interview with I think the director, one of the writers or directors of Power Rangers, who's been with the show for a very long time. And he asked about, like the Power Ranger show, writing and directing it, or whatever he specifically does on the show. And he said something that maybe I'm taking it the wrong way, but he said something very specific, which is the show has to work for kids. It has to work for kids. That's the only thing that they really focus on. He's like, if legacy fans like it, like if older fans like it, then that's great. But that's definitely not what they're focusing on. And I personally just think that's not really smart. Like I just don't really think that it's smart, because I would, from a sales and marketing background, be like, okay, like do we have research and analytics and insights into how many of the new child fans or kid fans are actually only fans because their parents are into it?
Mhm.
And how, obviously only adults can buy toys. What is the demographic of people who are buying Power Rangers toys for their kids who know nothing about Power Rangers versus like legacy fans? I'd be very curious to see what those numbers are. I don't know how you would collect those numbers, but it's like, are you doing that only because like that's always been the case and that's what you think that you should do? Or because it seems like during like the RPM era, it's like, no, like let's grow with our fans a little bit. Let's grow with them. Let's do a little bit more gritty and more mature. And then it's when Hasbro took over, it went back to very cookie cutter, almost cartoony type show.
Definitely, definitely. I think that it's a mistake for them to just only focus on children, especially since nostalgia based content is like booming right now. This success of Cobra Kai right now, it's bringing in new audiences and old audiences, and it's just putting everything back together. So, not to say that what they're trying to do isn't, it's not noble, but it's not unprecedented that we try to combine both young and new audiences. Personally, we here at the channel, we have enjoyed the take that Beast Morphers has done, albeit we kind of predict, or we kind of assume that it's a still the Saban side of the things. So I
Mhm.
think that Dino Fury is going to be a precursor to see the direction of where we're at now. As
Yeah.
far as
Oh, go ahead.
Beast Morphers, did you enjoy the series, or did you watch the series?
Yeah, I watched the first season, and then I like started the second, and I never really finished it. But then I went, once I heard the RPM connection at the end, I went in and watched the end, and I see it more. I'm going to relate it to Star Wars again, which is another thing that I really love, but I don't talk about much anymore. Which is when I watched The Force Awakens, I was just kind of like, okay, so they're setting the tone here.
Yeah.
This is a tone setter, and I totally got that. And I feel like that's what Beast Morphers is. Beast Morphers is setting the tone, and from there they could go in multiple different directions. I don't know what that's going to be. Um, I think they did some really smart things, but going back to actually what we were saying, I feel like towards the end, I know just from reading that Beast Morphers ratings were dropping
Yeah.
like substantially. So
Yes.
they were like, oh, okay, we got to get people to watch this. And it's like, okay, let's obviously, team ups are a very big thing, but not only that, they're like, let's not just do a team up for no reason this year. Let's write it into the story. And I feel like it was almost like a Hail Mary. Let's get people watching the show again, because obviously the people who are tuning in
Yeah.
are us. It's us.
Especially
Like
putting it at that time slot.
they would not that time slot, and they would not put stuff from whenever RPM came out. I think it's like 2000 and no, maybe it's like 1999. I don't even know when that came out. Like early 2000s, they wouldn't put something like that into this show if they didn't want us to come back, right? Like it just wouldn't make sense. Kids wouldn't even get it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why like I don't understand certain decisions. I'm like, you do this, you know where the money is, you know where the viewers are, but it's like, no, but let's just focus on making the show only for children. And maybe that, hey, again, maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're like, well, yeah, let's keep the show for kids, let's make a more adult one. I personally would just like the universe that we know to very intelligently be mixed. And I don't know if you watched this. Have you ever seen the 2012 Ninja Turtle show? Like the CGI one from
Oh
Nickelodeon.
yes, definitely. I don't
Dude,
know. I'm a huge Ninja Turtle fan. I've been collecting all the NECA figures, which surpass the quality that Hasbro has. It's just the stock and the obtaining them is hard. But Ninja Turtles is I hold that very true to my heart. And the 2012 series is just the perfect example, I think.
it's perfect.
Yeah.
Everything about it to me is. I remember when I first saw the designs, I was like, I'm not gonna watch this show. I watched like 3 episodes, and I was just, oh man, they did that. Oh my god, they did that. They did when they like introduced the purple electric seaweed like in an episode when they're in like a summer. I'm like, oh my god, they're bringing the video games. Like they're bringing the voice actors. Like Corey Feldman was Donatello. They bring him in as Slash. Like they did a Goonies reference with Raphael, like for all the things that they were doing that were like 80s references was so smart because they knew exactly what
Yeah,
we like, who we are, and it was still a kids show.
definitely.
And I'm like, I feel like not just Hasbro, I don't really feel like anyone who has owned Power Rangers has really figured that out yet. But I do feel like when it was under more of an original guard, the show itself was just kind of more closer to home. Like it's like, okay, I get this. I get what I'm watching. Don't get me wrong. There are seasons that I just don't like. There are seasons that are not my favorite seasons that were owned by either Nickelodeon or Disney. And part of me, there's always that voice in my head that's like, Robbie, what are you really expecting? Like, what are you expecting?
Yeah.
But after seeing things like 2012 TMNT, I'm like the bar is actually set pretty high. Like you could make a perfect show. I mean, Voltron. Oh man, Voltron, Legendary Defender. Like again, could be for kids, but is definitely made for us. And it's Avatar, Avatar: The Last Airbender, perfect show for adults and kids. Like literally, and it's like Power Rangers. You could totally do this. Why aren't you doing this?
Definitely. It's definitely a take they can take. Now, you know, with Hasbro, a lot of their properties, they do change to animation. What's your take on possibly the television series just transitioning into an animated show?
I would I would never want to get rid of the whole Toku spandex warrior type of thing in my life. I would always want that to keep going, but I am 150% open to an animated series, like, because like Avatar and Voltron are two of my favorite things. Like Korra, like everything that they did is so smart. And I love actually bringing Mark Hamill and Star Wars back into it. Mark Hamill did an interview. I watch interviews all day.
Yeah.
I just watch interviews all day. Mark Hamill did an interview about when he was, Ozai, Fire Lord Ozai, and he was like, when I first read the script, I was like, this is never going to work. Why? Because it's too smart. And I love that comment, because when I think about the writing and the direction of those shows, they're just so intelligent. And I think, again, not to just talk badly about Power Rangers and Hasbro, but I think that they don't give kids enough credit. I
Definitely.
really don't think they give kids enough credit on the writing, on what kids are mentally capable of understanding and taking in, and even just on the toys. Like, I said this in one of my videos, like when I was a kid in like the 90s and I got the original Power Morpher and Gun Sword that they were calling it, I knew immediately when I picked it up, I opened up the Morpher, I was like, this thing is upside down. Like, it's not even like correct. And I knew that when I was in second grade. Like, and that's what I mean. I think that they just don't give kids enough credit um, in be like when it comes to their intelligence and being able to watch a show. I mean, look at the Flash, look at the DC universe. Maybe not meant for kids, but you're going to tell me that kids aren't watching those shows?
Yeah.
Like, they definitely are. Uh, but yes, animated universe, into it, totally into that idea. And I would love if it somehow intermingled with the Toku universe and their Jonathan Entwistle universe. I'd love that. You like make video games too. That's what, I don't know if you're a fan of the Matrix, but the Matrix did that. The Matrix movies tie into the video games and that thing, the Animatrix, that they did
Yeah.
years ago in a very intelligent way. It's like, it's very smart what they did, and like, you could do that.
So
Why not do?
it is possible. One thing that I don't know if you know Joe, he's like the head of our team over here. He
Oh,
did
sure.
yeah, he did have an opportunity to speak with Simon Bennett, and usually when we do interviews, you do pre-questions, or you send your questions over to them. One thing that we found a little disconcerting is anything involving Entwistle was not discussed. There was one, if he would be working directly with Simon Bent would be working directly with Entwistle, and immediately it was dismissed. So that does put, with everything that's piling up, that does put, you know, Ranger fans, it doesn't put them at ease. Like it kind of just like, okay, so there's an, you know, Simon Bennett was named the head runner of the series now, but if he's not working directly with Entwistle, what's
Yeah,
going
then what's happening?
yeah, well then what's going on? And like you said before, Hasbro is not in the and they're not going to make announcements like they did with Netflix. They should have made an announcement through the fan,
Yeah.
especially them trying to connect with the fans through Twitter, through Facebook. That should have been announced. And hey, just so you know, we are discontinuing some of our series with Netflix, so be sure to, you know, we watch them and catch up on them. But so if there is a break, or a a break with the live action side, I don't know if they're actually going to tell us, and I think that that's going to just put the series in uproar. Now, if that were to happen, how would that affect your content personally?
I mean, I would definitely keep up with the news. I think I would keep up with the new, like, I mean, I'm just, because I've thought about this as well. Like, because it's something that I think about as a content creator, just in general, is one of my fears is like one day Power Rangers just might end.
Mhm.
Like, and if it does, like, what, I'd have to definitely pivot in some type of way, which would be very hard for me to do, because like I was saying earlier, my early content, I hadn't found really my voice, if I've even found it now.
Mhm.
I didn't know really what to talk about. I just knew that I wanted to talk about geeky stuff. Um, and I was doing a lot of Star Wars. I was doing a lot of like Justice League. I was doing like all the Marvel movies that were coming out at the time. And like Power Rangers is something that is definitely, out of all of those things, the one that I probably know the most, I collected the most, I liked the most as a kid. And that's probably why people started to kind of, hop on board with those videos more, which is the direction I went in. I think I would definitely keep up with the news of everything that's going on to keep everyone up to date, and hopefully keep them interested in possibly, like, let's say we find out that any of the things that we talked about are happening, like animated series is happening, blah 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 blah, like kind of being hopeful and hoping that, you know, all of that is coming out, and that it's good, and then I'll probably do reviews around it. But you know, I think if it did switch, I would definitely keep going with it, but I don't know. That's a really tough question, actually. I think I would be a little disheartened if the Toku show ended.
Mhm.
Um, and I would really just have to ask myself, in this, let's say, this new Jonathan Entwistle, like, adult universe, or more, you know, gritty universe, and it, you know, it's different. If I love it, which is possible,
Mhm.
if I loved it, I'd be like, yeah, let's just keep this going. If I didn't, I'd have to really, like, kind of ask myself, like, do I want to keep doing this?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what puts a lot of Ranger content creators, puts them a little on the edge when it comes to the future of the franchise. But one thing that we can look forward to is what you guys are doing, um, creating content for these fans, especially. I mean, I'm sure you've kept up with a lot of these fan videos or fan films. They're doing amazing stuff. They're doing
Oh yeah.
stuff. So despite the state, the state of where the franchise goes, whether it be just movies and animated, I think that because of you guys, because of you, fans that are huge, great content creators, I think they're in good hands. So I don't think you should worry too much about it. And like I said before, like at work, I'll be watching a ton of just different Ranger creators and just hearing their take on a lot of things. And one thing that I really appreciate about your stuff is trying to look at it from like a different view rather than Ranger fan goggles. I think that that's all.
I like that. That should actually be a physical thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I try to separate the 10-year-old in me to the adult in me, like, and that, you know, sometimes that I get into difficult conversations sometimes with people every once in a while. I try not to. I really try hard not to. But like sometimes I'm just like, yeah, but like, do you know how a business runs? Like, like, do you know how much, like, they want money, like that, and even the old, you know, the older owners want money, but it's just your approach to brand and strategy, and your approach to, you know, how fan engagement is different. You know, that's the difference.
I think one thing that we can say about the Hasbro is that right now it's just a transition period. They're trying to clean up old contracts, old obligations, and maybe sooner than later we will see the true direction of where they're going. Now, Robbie, thank you so much for taking the time to just speak with me on your take on a lot of things going on with the Ranger community. So, like I said before, if you guys haven't subscribed to his channel yet, it is Geek Level Asian, and it is amazing. Great content, great. I personally love your thumbnails. Your thumbnails are great. I'm trying to
Oh, thank you very much.
that level. It's, I think with content creators, a lot of the little things that people don't notice or see are the most impressive stuff, like the importance of thumbnails, the importance of titles,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
so huge, man.
It really makes a difference. So thank you again for your time, and thank you for keeping the Power Ranger fandom alive. And I hope we all see this going in a better direction. Thank you.
Absolutely, dude. And thank you so much for having me. I appreciate this. You know, I'm a fan of you guys, obviously. Like, I reference Illuminerdi often, actually, in my videos, and you know, definitely stoked to talk to you guys about all of this stuff, because it's very obvious to me, coming from, like, cut from the same cloth, that you guys are like in the mental headspace that I am,
Yeah,
like, about the series, and like, you know, kind of looking at it from a business standpoint as well, and understanding, like, coming from a fan standpoint, but also as an adult.
yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for your time. You guys
Absolutely.
subscribe to his channel.